Your retirement savings are in jeopardy. The banks and Wall Street firms are looking out only for themselves. The markets are confusing and treacherous to navigate without help. The number one financial question is, am I going to run out of money in retirement? Paul Merriman is here to help.
Imagine putting your head on the pillow at night without worrying about your bills.
Paul Merriman is an educator, award-winning podcaster, and best-selling author whose straightforward advice about retirement savings and managing money has been followed by tens of thousands of people.
You have the chance to double or even triple your returns over a lifetime. And the sooner you start, the better off you are.
Learn about his 5 life-changing choices to help you grow and manage your money in financial fitness after 50.
When you follow my plan, you will have more money with less risk. And best of all, more peace of mind.
Here's Paul Merriman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good to see you. Thank you. Welcome. I am so happy to be here because I've got some advice I know you'll love. Advice that can really help put you on the road to financial fitness. And whether you're 40, 50, 60, or 80, this information will work for you. Between Wall Street shenanigans and the person in the mirror, you're losing more than half of the return on your hard-earned savings. You worked hard for that money. Do you want to do something about this? Do you? Yes. All right. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can with the right tools. I'm a specialist about the most important part of your financial life. I'm an expert on the best ways to manage and grow your money. Now, I know that many of you do not think of yourself as money managers, but if you have an IRA, a 401k, 403b, or any other retirement account, you are a money manager. And my goal is to help you build the value of your retirement accounts so you will have all you need and more when you're ready to retire, or more to spend if you're already in retirement. The number one financial fear people have is outliving their money. Well, you will rest easy at night if you follow my simple and effective suggestions. And if you choose not to choose, you go the way you are going today, remember that is making a choice, and the consequences can be dire. I'm going to talk with you about 5 life-changing choices to help you grow your money. 5 choices that will improve your financial fitness for the rest of your life. They're simple and they're easy. When you follow my plan, you will have more money with less risk. And best of all, more peace of mind. And what does that mean to you? Well, you'll be able to take the vacation you've always dreamed about. And you'll be able to help your grandkids go to college. You'll be able to order anything you want off the menu. No more early bird specials. The problem is, too many of us listen to the wrong people. We let our emotions overrule our common sense, and we make very important financial decisions with very little information. And many of us don't really know what's going on in the financial part of our life. Well, I'm here to help you with that, and to help you make the right choices, and what a difference those choices can make. My advice is going to help you take control of the biggest enemy to maximizing your financial fitness. That big enemy, that's your emotions. And once you can control your emotions, you can put your investments on automatic and virtually eliminate more than 90% of your risk. It's not hard. In fact, most of you will be able to do it all on your own. And when you finish watching this program, you'll have the tools and the courage to get started. Successfully managing your money is no more complex than making 5 simple choices. I consider each of these 5 a $1 million choice, and you will see why. $1 million choice number 1. Choose the right source of advice. But who can you? Who should you trust? The outcome of this trust can be life-changing. And if you don't believe me, talk to the clients of Bernie Madoff. The fact is, we're inundated with TV, print, and internet ads. And they want us to turn our money over to the big Wall Street firms. Well, most of us don't even know there are other options. Much safer, much more trustworthy. Managing your money should not be a game of chance. This is not, let's make a deal. But to make the point, let's pretend it is. Remember, let's make a deal? Yeah. Monty Hall with the 3 doors. And of course, we all knew that, that behind one of those doors there was a really bad prize. Could be something like a pig or a broken down old Cadillac they just hauled in from the junkyard. But there was a second door. Had something useful like a TV or refrigerator. Of course, the audience, they were all rooting for the contestant to select the door with the red convertible behind it or the trip to Paris. But when you consider whom to trust as your source of advice on your financial fitness, I want you to realize that the prize for picking the right door is so much bigger than a red convertible or a trip around the world. The right door leads to financial fitness and financial freedom. And I'll make a deal with you. I'm going to give you a break the let's make a deal contestants didn't get. I'm going to show you what's behind every door before you make your choice. So let's see what's behind door number 1. Well, look, it's a bunch of friendly, well-dressed people living in nice houses, driving fancy cars, and there they are on the golf club. They're entertaining some of their wealthy clients. Well, of course, these charming, successful people are from Wall Street. Yes, Wall Street. But wait a minute, Wall Street is the main source of financial advice. But the question is, should we use them as our source of financial guidance? Can we trust their advice? Well, let's start with a very simple question. Can we trust the firm? If you want to do a little checking, I suggest you do an internet search. Type in the name of a Wall Street firm. And then I want you to add one word. I want you to add the word fraud. I did, and then I did the search, and I was shocked to find over 1 million results on one firm. And this could be the firm that you are considering having help you with your precious life savings. Well, let's move on to the next door to see if there's a group that might be more reliable, more trustworthy. Let's take a look behind door number 2. Well, look, more smiling faces, but this time we recognize those faces. They're friends and fellow workers and family members, people that we know we can trust. They want what's best for us. I call this group Main Street. And the question is, do you think we can trust Main Street more than Wall Street? Well, be careful, because those people that we know and love, those neighbors and relatives, they're amateurs. Now, they might love playing the market, but they don't necessarily make great investment decisions themselves. They probably remember all of the winners, but have forgotten or would like to forget all the losers. I know we love them, but taking their financial advice is one sure way to ruin a Thanksgiving dinner. Let's open door number 3. I want you to notice something here. These people aren't dressed in fancy clothes. In fact, many are in jeans. At least one is smoking a pipe, and they appear a little distant, a little aloof. They are what I call University Street, the academic community. These bright people are determined to help people get the most from their money, researching what strategies really work and which are likely to be a big waste of money. So your first $1 million choice is to choose the right source of advice. And without any question, I pick door number 3. Follow the advice of the academics. The people from University Street have made managing money very simple and very profitable. And if you're not following the advice of these academics, you're likely relying on a lot of luck. I don't want your financial success to rely on luck, and it doesn't have to. The academics have shown us how to take the luck out of managing your money so you take home the profits. And of course, with most academic studies, the research can become very complex, filled with mind-bending formulas. In fact, here's an example. This seemingly complex formula represents the impact of owning 4 types of stocks, 4 types of companies: large, small, growth, value. And the reason that this is so important to your financial future is this formula explains over 90% of the money you will make on a diversified portfolio. The formula may be daunting, but it's very important to understand, and that's why I'm here. I am a lifelong student and a teacher of financial fitness, so you don't have to be. And my job is to take the most important academic findings. I want to make them easy to understand and simple to use, so you can put them to work in your retirement accounts and be financially fit for the rest of your life. Yes. If you make the right choices, you will have more money for your family with less risk, and best of all, more peace of mind. And what's that mean to you? Well, imagine putting your head on the pillow at night without worrying about your bills. Or how about buying your spouse that special anniversary gift? How does that sound? Yes. Right. Now, are you ready for $1 million choice number 2? Yes. All right, number 2. We have got to choose the best place to put your money. And this is a question that even Warren Buffett has to confront every day. It's a big challenge. There are literally thousands of possible places to put your money, and I know it can be daunting. And that's why I did the work for you, to help you make the right choices. These choices have the ability to double, even triple the money you will have to live on in retirement or leave to others. And there's a big, big bonus. These extra returns are possible without taking any more risk than you are taking right now. Thank you. Now I want to have some fun here. Good. I want to imagine that your grandmother in 1928, she did something very special. She put away $500 in a trust for you and your family, and you couldn't touch it until now. Now, she was a very savvy lady. If there had been such a thing as an Olympics of financial fitness, she would have been in it. Absolutely. So she decided to split this $500 into 5 buckets, $100 each. Now, she took that first $100 and she put it into U.S. government bonds because she wanted to make sure that there was some money would be absolutely guaranteed to be here today. And the question is, with that guarantee, what has that $100 grown to? $8,000. Not bad. Certainly better than keeping it under the mattress, right? All right. Well, we love Grandma. 8,000 bucks. Well, she also put another 100 into some large growth companies. Now, these were very popular large growth companies. These were companies that everybody agreed were some of the best companies for the future. So she put that $100. She knew it was more risky because stocks are more risky than bonds. But that $100, it grew to be worth $194,000. Wow, we really love Grandma. But she wasn't going to quit there. So she took another $100 and she put it into a group of large companies that were experiencing serious business challenges, problems that kept them out of that popular growth group. Now, the academics call these less popular companies value companies. Now, she didn't know the word value back then, but she did understand that shares of some companies can be bought at lower prices. And she certainly understood the advantage of buying things on sale. So how did the stocks on sale do over that period? $430,000. Amazing. We really, really love Grandma. Wow. That all came, of course, because of more risk. But Grandma found yet another group of stocks for her next $100, an even riskier group. Stocks of smaller companies. You see, Grandma believed that small companies have a lot more potential growth than the large companies. Doesn't that make sense? Yes. And let's see what that extra return was for that extra risk. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because Grandma, she invested the last $100 in the riskiest of the 5 groups. Small companies that were out of favor. Now, these are what the academics call the small value companies. And I love showing you these results because it just seems too good to be true. Over $3 million. Unbelievable. And it does seem unbelievable. And maybe that's why Albert Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. So what's the total value of Grandma's generosity? Over $4 million today. That is great. Yep. And almost all of that came from the stock part of the portfolio. And the stocks that made most of the money, that money was in small companies and value companies. And the problem? The majority of stock holdings in your retirement accounts are sitting in the large growth companies with very little exposure to the small companies. The academics discovered that you're missing a giant opportunity for, you'll like this, more gain without more pain. Academic research led to the discovery that the prices of these different kinds of stocks, the big, the small, the value, the growth, they don't go up and down together. And when you put them into a combined investment, it turns out the risk is actually almost the same as in the less risky large growth companies. But the combination created a much higher return, again, with that very similar risk. So this whole concept of taking less risk. This is the amazing power of smart diversification. And one more example of that concept of making more money with less risk and more peace of mind. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you, University Street. Thank you. So now we know who to trust for advice to grow and protect our money, and we know where to put some of that money. Now let's see how we can put your money to work. Ben Franklin, one of my heroes, he said, "Beware expenses. A small leak can sink a large ship." And those are 10 words that can help every one of us be more financially fit. So the next $1 million choice, number 3, minimize your expenses. People pay more than they have to because they don't realize they can choose not to. And let me tell you a little bit more about this decision, just to make sure you're not paying any more than you have to. If anybody here has ever tried to lose weight, I think you'll relate to my saga. Right hand up. I have lost over 4,000 pounds in my lifetime. It's true. Up and down and back up, with some very short periods of stability. And here's the fascinating reality about weight loss. It's a $50 billion industry offering to help me lose weight. But everything I need to know fits on 2 sides of a 3x5 card. One side is the diet, the other side, the exercise program. It's that simple. And I don't think there's a dieter here that would disagree with that. So if it's so simple, why do we listen to other people who make it more complicated? Well, for one thing, all of us dieters are a huge target of a very powerful, profitable industry that has an interest in keeping us tied to our old habits. Every TV ad, mouth-watering for food, and every mouth-watering description of entrees at my favorite restaurants. Everywhere I turn, it seems they're begging me, throw away the 3x5 card. Buy the cupcake, or better yet, buy the new fad diet book. Does it feel that way to you? Unfortunately. Well, you've got to face a big question. What's more important? Your physical health or their financial health? And we're fighting some of those very same forces in building and reaching and maintaining our financial fitness after 50. There are literally millions of people, bankers, brokers, insurance salespeople, financial planners, investment advisors. They all want you to follow their advice rather than do what is strictly in your best interest. And that's where the expenses come in. While the experts from University Street are recommending minimizing your expenses, the advice from most of the financial salespeople will actually lead to unnecessary expenses and rob you of the security you might otherwise have in your retirement. So you have to decide who survives, you or the salespeople. Big decision. And the right answer, of course, is you. The financial decisions you're making today will help you build a fortress to protect your financial future, and every brick counts. By the time I finished grade school, I knew most of what I needed to take better care of my money. You learned it too. It's called math. I did hear one person groan. One. Yes, the math you learned in grade school is really all you need to understand to take better care of your savings. That math will give you the answers and the motivation to lower your expenses and improve your financial fitness after 50. It's simple math. See, if you make 10% a year, but you lose 3% to unnecessary expenses, you don't make as much as you woulda, or you coulda, or you shoulda. And that's what we have to protect. John Bogle, another one of my heroes, the man who started the Vanguard funds, he says, in investing, you get what you don't pay for. If you pay nothing, you get everything. In other words, don't pay unnecessary expenses and you make more money. So let's just assume for a second we're thinking about a lifetime of saving toward retirement. So you put away $5,000 a year for 40 years, total investment $200,000, and you make 7%. End result, about $1.1 million. What's not to like about $1 million, right? Right. But what if, yes, but what if you could turn that 7% return into a 10% return and not take more risk? That's important. Well, you worked your whole life for this money. Let me now show you how you make that extra money. That extra 3% comes right out of the academic textbooks. And you should make more if you just do a couple of things right. Choose funds that are commission-free, that do not charge you a commission. They're called no-load funds. Choose funds that are passively managed, not the active management. They're buying and they're selling and they're trading and they're costing money. It rarely adds up to enough extra return to make up for the extra expenses. And choose funds with low management expenses. You know, sometimes those expenses can be as much as 2% less a year. And choose funds that are tax efficient. So let's say you do the smart thing. You buy the commission-free funds. You buy the low-expense funds and the low trading costs and the low taxes, and you take home about 3% more per year. And here is where that simple grade school math comes in. If the same $5,000 a year for 40 years was put away at 10% instead of 7%, it becomes $2.4 million. More than double. Do you see why I call this $1 million choice? Yes. My goal is for you to be financially fit and to have more fun for the rest of your life. You know, think of the implications of retiring with 2.4 instead of 1.1 million. Yeah, you know, at a 5% withdrawal rate, your retirement check from the 1.1 million, $55,000. Now that's a lot, yes, but from the 2.4 million, $120,000. And yes, that's the choice. That's the choice. And I just bet that you and your spouse would have no trouble coming up with a few ideas how to spend the extra $65,000. You know, like sending the grandkids to college, buying a new car. How about that trip you waited to take all your life? And oh, by the way, that extra money is paid every year for the rest of your life. Yes. Yes. And do you see why I say that these choices give you more money, less risk, and peace of mind? Okay. All right. That's great. Now, before I give you $1 million choice number 4, I want to share some information that is very hard to believe. And it's information the mutual fund industry does not want you to know. A firm called Dalbar has done a 20-year study for each of the last 16 years. What they do is they look back over 20 years and they look at the return of the market And then they look at the returns of mutual fund shareholders and how they did, real time, real profits over that same period of time. Here's the outcome of the last 20 years. The S&P 500, that's what we normally call the market, made 9.1% a year. The average return for the real shareholders was only 3.8. Well, you know, the average shareholders got two problems. Number one, they're paying too much in expenses to Wall Street. And number two, unfortunately, they tend to buy and sell at the wrong times. Now let me give you a radical example. There's a fund called CGM Focus. Anybody ever hear of CGM Focus out of curiosity? It's interesting because for 10 years during that lost decade, remember that lost decade, the S&P 500 lost 1.2% a year? During that lost decade, CGM Focus made 17.8% a year. That's amazing. Here's the part that's really unfortunate. Morningstar tracked that fund, tracked the money in and the money out for the real shareholders. They did not get 17.8. They got a minus 16. For 10 years, a minus 16. How does this happen? It happens because people have this tendency to buy when the market is high and to sell when it's low. We are driven by emotions. And I have to ask, what's wrong with this picture? Is the goal to turn lemonade into lemons? Is that what we're trying to do? Well, if you want to put your money in the best funds, and I will help you do that, you must do it in a way that takes control of your emotions. Which brings us to million-dollar choice number 4. Manage your retirement funds automatically. The worst thing you can do is to let your emotions kidnap your intellect. And how do you do that? Well, the answer is to make that process as absolutely mechanical as possible. And how do you do that? How do you automate this process? Well, let me give you a couple of examples, and I think you'll see it's actually very easy. One thing is you invest in index funds. This is the closest thing to mechanical investing as you can get. Index funds are funds that own all of the stocks in a particular group, maybe all of the small, all of the large, all of the value, all of the growth. You get them all, and they eliminate all of that trading that goes on in there. And their expenses are very low. And their taxation is very efficient. There's an 80-year track record of success. 80 years. And I know you don't want to put all your money in one stock. If it's Enron. One stock if it's Lehman Brothers. One stock if it's Washington Mutual. And maybe somebody will remember one stock being Eastern Airlines. None of them. The beauty of these index funds is they have never gone out of business. Not one. The index have survived all wars, all depressions, inflation, stagflation, and Wall Street crooks. And they've made good money over the long run. Yes. Now, there's another easy way to automate this process, and that is to use dollar cost averaging. The idea of dollar cost averaging is that you add money on a regular basis, like a 401k, and so when the market is down, you're buying more shares. When the market is up, you're buying fewer shares. And it makes you do the thing that your friends are saying, don't get in the market now. It's very dangerous. It's going to go down. But you keep putting it in there, and you're the winner, and sadly, they are the losers. So, do you want to do something special like Grandma did in 1928? Invest $1 a day for a grandchild, or give it to your favorite public television station. $365 a year. You know, by dollar cost averaging, this discipline of buying more shares when the market's low and fewer when the market's high, that $365 a year could turn into more than $2 million. It did over the last 65 years. How does that sound? Huh? Yes. Yeah. Of course. Let me give you another way to take that emotion out of the process. It's simply rebalancing your portfolio on a regular basis. See, I want you to spread your money amongst a whole bunch of different mutual funds, stock funds, bond funds. And once a year, I want you to sell a part of the funds that have done really well over the last year. Take some of that excess profit and put it down here into the funds that haven't done so well. Doesn't quite feel right, does it? But selling the winners and buying the losers, rebalancing, it guarantees something that everybody wants to do. It guarantees that you're going to sell relatively high and you're going to buy relatively low. And it's not something you think about. It's something you do automatically. You must do all you can to keep those pesky emotions at bay. Jonathan Clements, a financial writer, says, you want to see the greatest threat to your financial future? Go home and take a look in the mirror. There it is, right there. You worked for years for your money, and I want to help you protect it, and I want to help you grow it. And the nice thing is, these aren't secrets. These are time-tested money moves that the smartest people in our industry believe are in your best interest. The low expenses, along with that emotion-free mechanical investing, will likely make you a lot more money. Wait a minute. There it is again. More money. Would you say it with me? More money, less risk, and more peace of mind. Do you feel it? So why don't more people do it? Well, because there's always someone there, eat the cupcake. It's delicious. Or the returns will be spectacular. You'll make $1 zillion. I want to ask you to focus on doing 4 simple things right. That's all I'm asking. Each a clear choice between what's likely to be good for you and what's likely not to be good for you. And as a reminder, here they are again. Number 1, trust University Street's research. Number 2, use smart diversification like grandma. Number 3, minimize expenses. And number 4, automate the process of building your retirement savings. And as always, whether we choose to do these things or we don't make this decision to change, the consequences are going to be life-changing. I'm going to make a guarantee that I don't think you will ever forget for the rest of your life. Because this is a guarantee you can absolutely count on. If you follow my advice and the advice of University Street, I guarantee you will lose money. Huh? What? Huh? Uncomfortable, isn't it? Huh? Yeah, but it's real. And believe it or not, knowing that losing money is part of the process of growing your retirement savings may actually be the most important key to making and keeping money. Knowing that the risk of loss in your portfolio, what that is likely to be, and taking the steps to defend against it is truly the secret sauce to achieving the long-term returns you want and you deserve. So now for that final choice, truly $1 million choice. I know many of you are worried about running out of money before you run out of life. We see it in the surveys. That's the number one concern of people saving for retirement. Well, choice number 5, it seems so simple. And yet it is this simple choice that is most likely to make sure you are financially fit after 50. It's the simple choice that allows so many investors to go to sleep at night knowing they have done the best they can for themselves and their family. So $1 million choice number 5. Choose bonds. When you purchase a bond, you are usually lending money to the government or to a corporation. And in return for that loan, they're going to pay you some interest. They make that promise to you, and at the end of the life of that particular loan, you get repaid. Now, if you think for a moment about the theme of the other four choices I've given you so far, they're all about protecting you and your hard-earned money, keeping you and your family safe. Well, choosing bonds will do that. That's what they're meant to do. When you add bonds to your portfolio, you can eliminate the panic many of us feel when the market's going down. I'm sure some of you have felt that panic, like you're going to lose all of your money. Now, most people, when they think about owning bonds, they think about income. And it's true, bonds do pay income, interest. But bonds are equally important for smoothing out the ups and the downs of the market, especially the downs, right? And we each have a limit to how much we're willing to lose before we panic and we look for a place of safety and security. I have a limit. I know a lot about the stock market. I know the stock market always comes back. There has never been a permanent bear market. It always comes back. But even with that knowledge, I don't want to go beyond a certain amount of loss. I could afford to take more risk, but I have capped my stock portion at 50%. And the balance, the other 50%, in bonds. Now, I'm not recommending that for you, but I do recommend you carefully consider your own personal risk limits and add enough bonds to allow you to sleep easy. George Goodman said, "If you don't know who you are, the stock market is an expensive place to find out." And I think we are all looking for peace of mind with a reasonable piece of the action. Both of those pieces are important to getting and staying financially fit. That 2000 through 2002 bear market and the 2007 through 2009 bear market, both of those markets frightened many investors enough that they sold everything and put their money in CDs or bonds. And in most cases, I talked to a lot of them, not all of them obviously, but a lot of them, and they knew they were doing the wrong thing, but they simply couldn't stand the possibility that our economy was going to collapse. And maybe they would have stayed the course if they had a big percentage of their money in bonds, along with the balance in a broadly diversified group of stock funds. It might have made them feel safe enough that they would not have panicked. See, what a lot of people either never knew or have forgotten is that a broadly diversified portfolio of stocks recommended by University Street, along with bonds, made 6 to 8% a year during the worst decade for stocks since the 1930s. No, not a home run, I understand that, but not a disaster either. And if you know how much money you have to invest and what your financial goals are, there are many tools online to help you determine your loss limit or your risk tolerance. And once you know your loss limit, you build your portfolio with enough bonds to make you feel comfortable, safe, and with enough stocks to give you the return you need to be sure you are financially fit. And all I want is to have enough bonds that you'll stay the course. Maybe your risk of loss is so low that you can only take maybe 20% or 30% of your money in stocks. But even that relatively small amount can make a huge difference, up to 2% more return each year with very little extra risk. So how would you like to have more money for you and your family with less risk? And best of all, more peace of mind. Now, what's that mean? Getting rid of your old clunker and buying the car you've always wanted. Never being a burden to your kids. And how about not worrying about outliving your money? Huh? All right. I wanted to do this show to introduce people like you to the simple choices you should make to help you achieve financial fitness and keep yourself financially fit for the rest of your life. The choices, well, they're easy to list, but it's not enough just to make a list. The life-changing impact comes when you put the choices into practice. And the power of doing all five is so much more than the pieces, because when you commit to all five, you are less likely to slip back into those old habits. Remember, diamonds are only lumps of coal that stuck to their jobs for a long time. You can't afford to keep paying high expenses, and you can't afford to pay commissions unnecessarily or taxes unnecessarily. In fact, I take kind of a hard stand. I say you can't even afford to play with any part of your money. I've been asking people for over 25 years, how do you know that play money isn't going to be important someday? Well, guess what? That day has come. And predictions, of course, are very difficult to make, especially about the future. But I do believe if you do the few things I'm telling you about, you have the chance to double or even triple your returns over a lifetime. And the sooner you start, the better off you are. There are so many similarities between getting financially fit and physically fit. But even if you've abused your body and your finances, you can take steps to recover. And the longer you wait to get started, the tougher it is to get where you need to be. Now, I know you can do this on your own. I know you can. I've been teaching people how to do it successfully for over 25 years. But some of you may feel like, well, I'm not quite ready, I don't know enough. Well, a good friend of mine, very smart, very successful, I sat with him and I said, here's what you should do. And he said, I can't. I'm afraid I'll make a mistake and I'll go broke. Now, he knows better. He knows that's not true. But his fear is real. And what I've recommended to my friend is about 10 times the diversification than he's ever had before, along with the right amount of bounds to address his risk limits. I even told him exactly what mutual funds to use. But he still has to be able to pull the trigger to do it or find someone to do it for him. This is a big decision, and it may be one for you as well. If you're trying to decide whether to do this yourself or to look for professional help, maybe it will help you think about that if you picture something. Picture yourself sitting at a table with your spouse, and you're talking with an advisor. Now, there are professional advisors and there are professional salespeople. You know which one I want you to talk with, right? But in between you and that advisor is a big pile of chips. This is your life savings. It's everything you've accumulated. And so you sit there for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and they ask you a lot of questions, and then you ask them a lot of questions. And at some point, you either got to take that pile of chips and push it their way and say, this is my life savings. Please take care of it. Please. Or if you can't do that, what you do is you pick the chips and you take them yourself and you make those decisions. But either way, make sure the decision is in your best interest. I don't care whether you do it yourself or you have somebody else do it for you. The key is to stick to an approach even with an advisor that applies these 5 choices I've given you. See, many of you already have a long-term relationship with an advisor, and I know you'd be uncomfortable making a change. So think about using your newfound education on a part of your portfolio, either with the current advisor or opening up a small account on your own. You see, in time, you will find out if this is something that you're comfortable doing on your own. And believe me, if the returns are better and the risk is lower, you will find the courage. I know how difficult change can be. The good news is the list of things you need to understand and do is short. Just 5 simple choices, each one moving you up the ladder of success. Choice number 1, follow University Street. They recommend investments to line your pockets, not somebody else's. Number 2, diversify your investments among the most productive types of stocks, those that have a long history of success, without ever leaving shareholders holding the bag. Number 3, eliminate unnecessary expenses. Number 4, automate that investment process so you don't let the emotions lead you astray. And number 5, stabilize with bond funds so you stay right there within the limits of your loss. Do all 5. If you make the right choices, you will have more money for your family with less risk, and best of all, more peace of mind. And what's that mean to you? Imagine putting your head on the pillow at night without worrying about your bills. Or how about buying your spouse that special anniversary gift? Yes. Yes. I've been a student of managing money for all of my adult life and an advisor for almost 30 years. I want you to benefit from that knowledge and experience and find the best investment advice available. Remember, it's not the money we make that counts, it's how we manage the money we make. I hope you will manage your money wisely and live fully. And remember this from Plato: the beginning is the most important part of the work. Thank you, and here's wishing you good fortune. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.